Hello, this is Laura O'Brien, and I'm here to talk to you about the Morrigan and her sisters and working with different aspects of Na Morrigan. So, I am the founder of the MorriganIntensive.com, the Morrigan Academy, and co founder of the Irish Pagan School and founder of the Om Academy. So, I'm wearing a lot of hats, I suppose, but currently we are here because our Morrigan membership community, which is a private community, it's not on Facebook or anything. There is a link below if you want to join us. We have an AMA in there, and Ask Me Anything. I have a couple of decades of Morrigan practice and experience and priesthood under my belt at this point. So our students and members of the community have been asking me anything. So Natasha has asked me, do you only work with the Morrigan as a whole, or have you specifically worked with each sister separately during different times? So when I first kind of went public with my Morrigan practice, I was very surprised to see a lot of American authors who had written books on the Morrigan and a lot of American groups who claimed to be a priesthood of the Morrigan. They were very much only working with specific aspects. And it was like they didn't understand that the Morrigan as a whole can be a separate entity, or she hadn't been in touch with them for her own reasons, I'm sure. So they were specifically calling on aspects of the Morrigan. So if you're not familiar, Na Morrigan is the collective term for the Great Queens or the Phantom Queens. And the Morrigan, Great Queen or Phantom Queen, Morrigan, can be a personal name, a singular individual name, which is the entity who first contacted me. She called herself specifically, singularly, the Morrigan, the Great Queen. It can also be a noun. So during our mythology, during the period when all of our stories and tales were being written down in medieval manuscripts, the Morrigan or Morrigan became known as a descriptor as well for kind of any demon of the air, anything kind of supernatural might have become a Morrigan. This crosses over with references to a bive, which would be another one that was very much used as a noun, as a description of a person, place, or thing. So it can be a personal name, it can be a noun, or it can be a title. So Morrigan, Great Queen, is a title which I believe in my own personal practice. Some people see that there are different aspects to Na Morrigan and that they're all one singular being or entity. That has not been my experience. This is my personal experience. They have always been very clear and very particular that they are autonomous entities. They are very much their own deities, their own gods in their own right, but they share and have shared through history a title, which is the Great Queen or Great Queen, and a title which would also be a role or a function. So I have other videos and classes on the specifics of each one of these. So we have the Morrigan, we have Nevin, we have Macha, we have the Bive, who I've already mentioned, we have Fea, we have Beinech. There are many different names. The best kind of breakdown or the most up-to-date breakdown I have is in a class called Understanding the Morrigan, which is available at morriganintensive.com, which may at some point change into morrigan.academy, kind of in the process there. But so depending on when you're watching this video, the link may be different, but what you can do is go to the link below. So it'll either be morriganintensive.com or morrigan.academy, and follow that link and you'll be able to find under the library or under the courses or in the shop, or there'll be a link. You'll be able to find the Understanding the Morrigan course. It's a 6-part course, and one of the modules for that course is where I break down all of the different names, sisters, aspects, however you want to view it yourself is fine. But anyway, Natasha's question, obviously I had to give some context for the question. Natasha has been studying with us, I think, for a while. So Natasha would be working from a base of already having this information. So my personal experience, as I said, has been each one of these has come to me in various times for various reasons. I have approached them at various times for various reasons and very much worked with them individually and specifically and separately during the appropriate times. So building a relationship with the Morrigan or Na Morinya is a very personal journey for everybody. No person's path is going to look exactly the same to anybody else's. So what I try to do with my resources, with my tools, with my trusted recommendations for what to study and what not to study, all of that, what I try and do is to make sure that people have the tools and the resources that they can make their own choices, meet their own deities, follow their own path. There is no one true way, but going back to native source material is always going to get you wherever you're going faster, right? What you don't want to be doing is getting caught up in other people's experiences or interpretations, even mine, of a goddess or a god, and you want to be able to have those personal interactions and personal relationships. And it takes some skill building. I mean, we go through 6 months of skill building for this in the Morrigan Intensive, which runs every year from around June to December every single year. So there is a waiting list over there. Again, there'll be links to all of this below, so make sure that you check those out if you're interested. But where you can start right now, if all of this seems very overwhelming and these goddesses seem a little bit unapproachable, a little bit scary, you don't know where to start, what I would highly suggest is I have a free 5-day challenge, right? Which will introduce you to the Morrigan who introduced herself to me. So the Morrigan singular, my great queen, and there's a little prayer, there's a daily practice, there is just the supports and the tools to give yourself 5 days of just tuning in, if you like. And you can repeat it. You can do 10 days, 15 days, 50 days. You can keep going. That's fine. But we look at some of the source texts. We take some excerpts from the Tombo Kulnya and make sure that people start to get familiar with the actual native resource material. It's all well and good reading books. And again, even by myself, I have a book coming out in 2025 with Llewellyn on the Morrigans. So, prepare yourself for that. But it is very personal. It's going to be my very personal experience. But my interpretation of the text is always going to be a little bit different than your interpretation of the text. And indeed, as people are going through that 5-day challenge, they're commenting underneath on each day's lore, on each day's experiences, on their own experiences with it. So besides the actual content that you're getting, again, for free by signing up to the 5-day challenge, you are also building your understanding and your experience of what other people are starting to learn, their perspectives, how they appreciate. You'll get different viewpoints. Some you'll agree with, some you'll disagree with. That's all good. That's the start of community. And that's what we're building on over at the Morrigan membership community as well. So again, a private community. Links to all this is below. Natasha, thank you for the question. Natasha, that trying to explain a couple of decades of right relationship with any goddess, never mind multiple goddesses, can't be done in a YouTube video, obviously. But hopefully, as we start to build up more and more content over the years, like we already have a year's worth of free content. If you go to irishpagan.school/free, you'll see all of this there and more, not just on the Morrigan. But there is a whole year's worth of free content there. So what I do encourage people to do is, whether you take the 5-day challenge or not, start doing something on a daily basis to Connect with a deity if that's your thing, or connect with ancestors if that's your thing. There's a free ancestral toolkit there as well. Or connect with the land, with sacred sites, with, you can take that 5-day challenge from the Morrigan or from the ancestral toolkit, the Roots and Reverence toolkit, all available through that free link. Make sure you check it out. You can take that and you can start to build a practice that suits you, you can adapt it. And we absolutely recommend that you adapt it. If you're posting publicly, please give credit to where you sourced it from. And that is basic common decency, especially if you're outside of a culture and somebody inside of the culture is giving you free resources and free support and free help. Make sure that you give credit where credit is due. Please send people back to source. If you have found this useful, point them to this YouTube channel, point them to the 5-day challenge, whatever you want to do yourself. But I'm really hoping that over time, as we start to build up this Morrigan membership community, that this kind of resource becomes a library, I suppose, a bank of content where specific questions are being asked in a specific way. So I do not just work with the Morrigan as a whole. I have specifically worked with each sister separately during different times. So again, Natasha, thank you for the question, and I will see you in the next video. Slán.